For a lot of us, the idea of living alone brings up this one big, nagging fear: loneliness. It's kind of baked into our culture, this assumption that solitude equals sadness. But what if that's just wrong? Let's dig into that with some incredible wisdom from someone who's really lived it.
This is exactly what everyone said to 91-year-old Peggy after her husband of 47 years passed away. Can you imagine? Friends, family, everyone. They were so worried. They had this picture in their heads of her being isolated and miserable. And it's a super common reaction, right? But it turns out they couldn't have been more wrong.
For 15 years now, Peggy has lived all by herself. And you know what she says? She's perfectly, completely, wonderfully fine. I love that. She's not just getting by, she is absolutely thriving. So, what's her secret? How does she do it? Well, let's break down her 5 big tips for a happy life alone.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start by blowing up the biggest myth about loneliness. Then we'll get right into Peggy's 5 tips. Understanding the difference between alone and lonely, finding your own daily rhythm, having a sense of purpose, being smart about your friends, and this one's huge, actually enjoying your own company.
Okay, so first things first, we have to do a little mental reset here. Our society has this bad habit of treating solitude and sadness like they're the exact same thing. And Peggy's whole point is that this is the biggest mistake we all make right from the start.
And that leads us straight into her first and maybe most important tip. We have to get this straight in our heads. Being alone and being lonely are 2 totally different things. Honestly, understanding this one idea is the key to everything else.
Let's break it down. Being alone is just a physical fact. It's about geography. There's no one else in the room. But lonely? That's an emotional state. It's a feeling of being disconnected. You know the feeling, right? You can feel desperately lonely in a packed stadium, but totally content sitting by yourself with a book. It's all about the quality of your connections, not the quantity of people around you.
So this flips the script. Instead of asking, am I spending too much time alone? The better question is, do I have connections that actually matter to me? For Peggy, a simple 20-minute phone call with her daughter Karen every Sunday, that's it. It fills her cup for the week. So what fills yours? It might be a lot less than you think. All right, on to tip number 2. When you live by yourself, the entire structure of your day is up to you. And that can feel a little daunting, right? Like a big blank page. Peggy's advice is to embrace it by creating your own personal rhythm.
And what's so great about this is how simple it is. I mean, look at her morning. It's not some complicated productivity hack. She makes tea in her favorite cup, sits in her chair, and watches the birds. That's it. It might sound kind of boring, but she says it's grounding. It gives her day a shape right from the get-go.
And this is where it gets really cool. Peggy mentioned that when her husband was alive, they always ate dinner at 5:30 sharp because that's when he was hungry. But when she was on her own, she realized she actually prefers to eat at 7. And just changing that one little thing felt like pure freedom. See, finding your own rhythm isn't loneliness, it's liberty. Okay, tip number 3 is all about having a purpose outside of yourself. Peggy really emphasizes how important it is to have something or someone that relies on you to show up day in and day out.
For Peggy, it's her very opinionated cat Mildred who needs breakfast at exactly 7:15 a.m. But hey, it doesn't have to be a pet. It could be your houseplants that need watering, a garden, or just a bird feeder you keep full. Even her little project of keeping a list of birds she sees, it gives her a reason to pay attention, to look outside, and to get out of her own head.
Now, tip 4 might sound a little counterintuitive, but stick with me. When you live alone, your social energy is a really precious resource. So Peggy's advice is to get incredibly picky about who you spend it on.
3. That's it. That's how many really close friends Peggy has. In a world where we're all obsessed with follower counts and huge networks, that seems almost radical, doesn't it? But for Peggy, 3 is plenty. These are the people who truly get her, the ones she doesn't have to perform for. They just fill her up.
This visual really says it all. Society pushes us to build up that tall bar, the quantity of friends. But Peggy is living proof that all the real nourishment, all the good stuff is in that shorter but much more vibrant bar, the quality. A few real friends beat 100 acquaintances any day.
And she just puts it so perfectly here. Think about that for a second. The goal isn't just to be known of by a lot of people, but to be truly known by a few. It's about giving yourself permission to stop chasing a big crowd and start cultivating your real inner circle.
And that brings us to the final tip, number 5. And honestly, this might be the most profound one of all. Because when you live alone, there is one person you simply cannot get away from: yourself. So you have to learn how to actually enjoy your own company. Peggy said that for years, she felt like she was doing life wrong. She was a quiet homebody who'd rather read a book with her cat than go to a noisy party. But then one day, she just stopped apologizing for it. She realized her way wasn't wrong, it was just her way. And that self-acceptance is everything.
So this is the big question she wants anyone living alone to really ask themselves. Is the discomfort you're feeling coming from a genuine lack of connection, or is it coming from this outside pressure that tells you that a quiet life must be a sad life? Because those are two very, very different problems.
See, if it's the first problem, the answer is to seek out meaningful connection. But if it's the second problem, which Peggy thinks is way more common, the solution is to just give yourself permission. Permission to be who you are and to be happy with the life that actually feels good to you, not the one you're told you should want.
So we'll leave you with that final thought. Peggy really believes some of us are just built for solitude. We're wired for a quieter existence. And if that's you, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. A quiet life can be a rich, beautiful, and very good life if you just let it be.